Well, good evening. Good evening. Hey there. Hey there. How are you? Our Facebook family. And we also have Twitter. We are live. We're live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Transparent Talks via Happy Fit Friday. We are super excited to have a wonderful guest, our special guest, Michelle Petties. I'm telling you, when it comes to just health and wellness and how we have a perception about ourselves, she is your go to when it comes to food stories, your perspectives on food, and just wellness in general, because it's a mental thing as well as a healthy thing as far as eating healthy and just maintaining good health. But also, she can help us in the wellness piece as well. Just that relationship with food. I just love her platform, how she has taken the idea of how we think about food, the perspective that we have. That's why we said we are going to name this broadcast Eat on Purpose, a candid conversation on food narratives. What is your food narrative? I just recently committed to changing the way, not only the way I eat, or I should say the way I think about food. I've seen a few of Michelle's interviews, and first of all, it got me convicted. Okay, I was convicted. I know I was in denial about that eating piece in the health and wellness and fitness. But after hearing her and some other influencers, I said, you know what? And just seeing things that's going on in my own body, I said, no, it's time to make that change. So if you're on the fence and you really, you need to eat better, you want to feel better, then you need to listen up. You need to take some notes, because I know Michelle, she's going to drop those gems. She's going to drop nuggets. She probably going to have some boulders for us, but we can take it. We can take it. All right. So I can just go on and on and on. But again, we just want to say we are honored that Michelle is taking time out of her busy schedule to come and just share with us. So before we read her bio, for those of you that don't have the privilege to know anything about Michelle, we're going to read that, but we want to share this out. So if you're watching, we're going to give you an opportunity just to share it out with your family, friends, and followers. And let's see if we can get that. Again, we so appreciate everyone for coming on. Those, if you're not on yet, hopefully you will come on in, because it's going to we're really going to receive some great information. So we're sending this out to a few groups. And we hope your day has been prosperous and productive. All right. All right. So we got it shared out. Let's see. We're going to keep it live so we can see when people come on. All right. So we are going to read Michelle's bio. and then we'll have her come on. So, Michelle Petties is an author, speaker, food story coach, and recovering food addict. Her first book, Leaving Large: The Stories of a Food Addict, features powerful stories that chronicle a lifetime of eating for all the wrong reasons. After gaining and losing 700 plus pounds over 4 decades, Michelle finally discovered the secret to ending the battle between her mind, body, and hunger: her food stories. By unlocking her own unique food stories, Michelle debunked long held misconceptions and misconnections about the purpose of eating. Armed with these insights, Michelle now shows others how to find their own food truths. A veteran public media professional, Michelle lives in Annapolis, Maryland. A food addict in recovery and experiential eating expert, Michelle Petties is an author, speaker, and inspiration. Her debut memoir, Leaving Large: The Stories of a Food Addict, a category winner in the 2022 Memoir Prize for Books, features the award winning essay, The Cake is in the Mail. Looking at Michelle today, you would never guess that she used to be morbidly obese. See, I can't even say that. Once tipping the scales at 260 plus pounds. After gaining and losing over 700 pounds, Michelle finally discovered the secret to winning the battle between her mind, body, and food: her story. The personal and powerful stories in her memoir chronicle a lifetime of eating for all the wrong reasons and illustrate how events, experiences, and memories inform our beliefs, attitudes, and habits around food, eating, and hunger. She now speaks to organizations large and small, sharing her unique insight and her story of hope, healing, and triumph. Michelle attended Whaley College in Marshall, Texas, as its first early admissions student in 1975, and went on to earn a Bachelor of Arts in Communications from the University of Texas at Arlington. Born in Los Angeles, raised in Marshall, Texas, she has lived in Dallas, Atlanta, and Washington, D.C. Michelle is a public media veteran who developed strategic partnerships, sponsorships, and alliances for Baltimore's NPR station, WYPR. When not speaking, writing, or coaching, Michelle can be found on the tennis courts, shopping for new wigs, or searching consignment boutiques for deals. So it is my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce to some and present to other the one and only Michelle Petties. How are
Hey, yeah, now people know way more about me than they ever wanted to know.
you? Now I'm all for, sharing accolades because that is your story. Not only do you have food stories, but you have a story of just a lifelong journey of giving back to others, and we honor you for that. We appreciate you and admire you for just caring enough to share, because there's someone out there that need what you have, and you acknowledge that, your purpose. So we are super excited to have you come and share with us
I'm glad to
today.
be here. I'm so glad to be here. And you know
So
what else? I'm glad that the show is Eat on Purpose, right? because eat on,
Yes.
because to eat on purpose, you do have to eat. You have to
Yes.
evaluate what you're eating. You have to ask about what you're eating, and you have to think about what you're eating. That's EAT. You got to eat to eat. How about that?
Yes. I love it. I love it. So, Michelle, before we get started, we have a series of questions. But how do you feel about someone that is just really, they're having a battle? Because that was me, having a battle between choosing what's best for them, what's best for their health, or just their taste buds, if you will. Just because they see something, they want it, they say, "Hey, it's my body. I can do what I want." What's your thoughts on that? How do you feel about a person that's struggling? They know they need to take care of themselves, but then again, they want to give in to, if they have cravings or just the idea of food. They may have the wrong perspective on that. What's your thought
Yeah,
on that?
yeah. So my first thought is I get it. My first thought is I understand. My first thought is there ain't nothing anybody can tell me about a battle with food that I haven't been through myself. And because I have been through it myself, and because I know that mastery is on the other side, because I know that although the struggle is real, I also know the victory is real. So I would just want to I want to stand in that space and let somebody that's feeling that way to know that there is hope. That certainly after 40 years of struggle, because I struggled with this battle with this beast from the time that I was 20 years old until I was 60. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it's like, as special as I am, there ain't nothing special about me. I mean, I'm that, and I mean it. I mean it that if I can do, because you know what it is, Jackie, is that we get caught up. We get caught up that food has some sort of mystical qualities, that it has some sort of mystical properties, and it does not. Food management is a skill. So wherever you are, wherever anybody is in their journey, whatever the struggle is, it just means that there's some stuff that they haven't figured out. There's some stuff that they haven't learned. And quite frankly, we live in a food a a toxic food culture that makes it difficult to learn the right thing to do and to do the right thing, because the
Right.
fast food companies, the snack food companies, the junk food companies, they are in business to make profit in our pain. They call
Right.
it pleasure. They call it pleasure, but it ultimately ends up in ill health, right? It ultimately
Hmm.
ends up in ill health, sometimes death,
Yes.
and they are profiting from it because of convenience, because of taste, because we are programmed to make decisions around what we eat based on appearance, taste, smell, and pleasure. That's how
Wow.
we're programmed. We're programmed for those things, and yet the only purpose to eat, the only reason to eat is nutrition, nourishment, and energy.
Yes.
People say all the time, I'm an emotional eater. I'm an emotional eater, right? Like it's some sort of badge of honor. Well, first of all, we're all
Right.
emotional eaters. Everybody eats out of emotion. So why do we
Yes.
say this? Why do we say I'm a nutritional eater? Let's just start with the language.
I
Let's
like that.
just to start saying that I'm a nutritional eater. You say it enough, you'll start to become it, right? So,
Right.
but we aren't programmed to use that language. We aren't programmed to use I'm a nutritional eater language that will save our lives, that will lead to good health, that will lead us to thriving, that will lead us to prosperity. We aren't programmed to say that. And yet it is the only reason to eat. The only problem food will solve is hunger. Yet we have all sorts of messages from trusted messengers that tell us that
Right.
food has superpowers and it can do things that it can never do. And we end up
Right.
being disappointed, mad, and eating more, and keeping on eating, trying to make food do something it can't do.
Right.
So
Wow.
so so what I will say to someone, what I will say to someone in that battle, in that struggle, is that it's never too late. It is never too late as long as you have breath in your body, right? To
That's right.
never to never give up, and now is the time. I mean,
Yeah.
if you take the bite into the thing, whatever the thing is, and you're like, oh my God, I shouldn't be eating this, then stop then. Don't say
Right.
I've already started eating it. I may as well just
Mhm.
finish it, right? I may as well just finish it
Yeah.
and start tomorrow. Stop now.
That's right.
Stop now because it's poison now. It's
Yes.
poison now.
Absolutely. Ooh. Thank you. Thank you. That is awesome. Okay, so we have a series of questions. We may not get to them all, but I think you pretty much you sum things up. But I'm going to ask this one
Okay.
anyway.
Okay.
So, how do you define food narrative, and why is it essential for individuals to be aware of their own narratives?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I define food narrative is what we believe about food. It is our thoughts. It is our beliefs about food. It is our story. It is our food story. And I'll just indulge me and let me tell you this one little quick story. Right.
Sure.
So I have some friends, and this is a couple that they're old enough to be my parents, and they have
Okay.
children my age, but I'm more friends with the couple.
Okay.
And once they told me this story that when their kids were little, and they had four children, that the wife was a stay-at-home mom, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the husband worked, and so they were on a budget, and the kids were kind of picky eaters. And so she said, well, our kids never had shrimp until they were teenagers. And I
Oh
said,
wow.
well, wow. Well, how did that happen? And she said, well, when they were young and we brought shrimp home, they kind of turned up their nose and said, oh, that looks funny. Like little kids, I'd never seen that before. What's that? It looks funny. And so being the astute parents that they were and on a budget, they thought, well, you know what? They just played into it. And they were like, yeah, it does. It tastes kind of funny too. So the kids never ate it. So the parents were able to eat. They ate, so they ate shrimp on Friday night and gave the kids fish sticks, right? And
Oh
the kids,
wow.
and so they grew up. They grew up all their teenage years never having shrimp, and then to their they went to their some friend's house when they were teenagers, right? And
Hmm.
everybody else was like chowing down on the shrimp and having a good time. And they're like, "Oh no, we don't eat that." And they were like, "Y'all don't eat shrimp? You don't like shrimp?" And they were like, "Because they never had it when they were a kid." And so
Right.
finally, their friends convinced them to eat it, and it was good, right? It was good, right? It was
Okay.
tasty.
Okay.
And so they came home and they were mad at their parents for denying them all these years. So
Oh my goodness.
they came home pissed, right? They came home pissed. I mean, all this time they never had shrimp, but they've been missing out. So here's what I want to tell you about that story. And this is a food story.
Yes.
The only thing that changed in that story from the time that they wrinkled up their nose at the shrimp until the time that they had it, right, was
Hmm.
what they believed about it. And
Wow.
when they tasted it and tried it for the first time, their belief about shrimp changed. And when their belief about shrimp changed, they started eating it.
Yes. Okay.
Up until they had it, their belief about shrimp was based on what their parents told them. This looks
Right.
funny, you won't even enjoy it. So they had a
Mm.
story. And the food did not change, is my point. The food did not change. The only thing that changed was what they believed about the food. So
Yes.
up until the time that they ever tried it, they believed that it was something that they would not enjoy and they didn't want. Then when they tried it, and tasted it like, oh, we now
Right.
enjoy it. That is the only thing that changed. And I tell that story to say is that in an instant, we can change our belief about anything, but we need the right information. See, they didn't have information. So
Right.
when they got information that said, you can eat this and enjoy it, then they change. So
Right.
the opposite is also true. So that if you are in some sort of battle with a food that's not good for you, right? But
Mhm.
you're eating it because it tastes good, because of what they put in it makes it addictive, because the size,
Right.
all the crunch, the all the ingredients are making it addictive, and so you try
Mhm.
it and you keep eating it. Well, one of the problems is in addition to the fact, in addition to its addictive properties, is that you don't have enough information about why that particular food isn't good for you to to change your belief about it. So
Wow.
we need to get educated about what's actually in the stuff that we're eating and what it does to our bodies. We eat stuff without being educated about what it actually is, how it's
Right.
stored. How it's stored. What is it? What when it breaks down in our body? What does it do? What are the long-term effects? So that when we look at apple pie, right?
Right.
You may see your mama cooking apple pie. You may
Mhm.
America's food and all that kind of stuff. But when you start thinking about what happens to the flour and the
Mhm.
toxins in wheat, do you really want that? When you start thinking about what all that lard and shortening does to your
Right.
body, it does to your veins and arteries, do you really want that? When you start thinking about the white sugar and how it's more addicted than cocaine, do you really want
Right.
that? When you start thinking about all of that stuff can lead to diabetes, and diabetes leads to blindness,
Yes.
and your foot can get cut off, do your limbs are
Yeah.
going to get cut off. When you look at apple pie and you see that, it makes it a little bit easier to resist because you have right
Absolutely.
information.
Yes. Wow. This is transparent talks. I hope y'all catching this.
Yeah, we
Wow.
need information. We need to and here's the other thing that I'm not throwing shade on Whole Foods or anybody, but I do
Right.
want you to know that just because it comes from Whole Foods doesn't mean that it won't kill you.
Say that.
Right?
Say that.
We need to be clear. I mean, I
Yes.
just saw this thing on I just saw this thing on social media, which is so brilliant in its simplicity. It said, go to the grocery store. You go to the grocery store and there's an aisle that says health food. Have you been
Mhm.
to the grocery store and
Yes.
you've seen the two aisles in the store that are health food,
Right.
right? Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
what's the rest of the store?
Uh-oh. Poison. Yeah.
What what's the rest of the store? If these two
Yeah.
aisles are health food, we got to
Right.
we got to think about that.
Yes.
We got to think about, do we really want to put something in our bodies that we can't pronounce?
Absolutely.
Do we really want to do that? Do
Mhm.
we really want to do that?
It's
So
true. Well, I think you made it crystal clear. No, but thank you for sharing, this story because that's funny. I used to feel like that about shrimp myself because I am not what you call a seafood lover, but I do eat some seafood. So I felt the same way about shrimp. Now I love it now. So
yes.
we do just have to change our perspective on food.
Well, the thing is that, Jacqueline, it is a process. You know,
Yes.
it it is a process. And when I say that food management is a skill, you know, I say that from the standpoint, for even with the people that I work with, I don't give anybody a diet plan. Right now, if
Okay.
somebody comes to me with one and they're trying to work their way through it, I can help them stick to it. Right, because in
Okay.
order to stick to whether it's Weight Watchers, whether it's Nutrisystem, whether it's Atkins, whether it's keto, whether it's Mediterranean, whatever it is, right? Pick Everybody's
Right.
different. You got to pick something that works for you. But whatever program anybody chooses, it is going to require them to change.
Absolutely.
And it is going to
Absolutely.
require them to change their belief system, not just follow the diet. Because it was
Yeah.
just as easy as, here's what you eat, here's what to eat, what not to eat, then everybody would do it. Right? It wouldn't be a
Right.
problem, right? But
Hmm.
the issue is what you eat and how much you eat, that is just behavior. And as
Right.
long as we stay trapped in behavior,
That's
the
good.
diet companies are going to win because it's a $70 billion
Mm-hmm.
industry that's based on the fact that we're going to get it wrong. What I
Mm-hmm.
teach people how to do is how to change their thoughts, how to change their thinking, how to change your belief system, how to learn to manage food in a different way. That's a skill. And when you do that, when you do that, then your body has to follow. Your body has to follow. Your
Yes.
body follows your mind.
And it
And so
will. Mm-hmm.
as long as your mind and your body are in conflict, then your mind is going to win. That's why people lose weight
Mm-hmm.
and gain it back because they
Right.
may have gotten down to a smaller size for a temporary time, but their mind is still the old size, right?
Right.
Yes. Can I share a success story where changing someone's food narrative
I love it because you segue right into that.
had a significant impact on their health and well-being? Absolutely. I was just having I coach people.
Hmm.
And part of part of what I do is what I call reading, healing through reading, writing, and storytelling. Healing
Okay.
through reading, writing, and storytelling. And one of the ways that we learn new habits, learn new skills, one of the most impactful ways that we can do it is through writing. It is
Okay.
it is through writing. So writing is a huge and an important tool. So success story changing someone's food narrative had a significant impact on their health and well-being. So there was a point. This was a little while back. A friend of mine said, I would like to get a copy of your book for a friend of mine. And I
Okay.
said, okay, all right, sure, I'll be happy to do it. And sometime later, I went to a party, and when I was at the party, this woman came up to me and said, "Oh, I know you." I'd never met this woman before. I'd never seen her before, but I thought maybe I had and I had forgotten. So I'm trying to pull all the pieces together and say, "Oh my God, I don't remember her." And so I'm looking at her, and she said, "Yes, my friend bought your book for me. My
Oh,
friend bought
wow.
your book for me." And I was kind of salty when she got it for me, but then I read it. Then I
Okay.
read it. I have lost 40 pounds.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
I have lost. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That hap- that happens to me time after time after time
Yes.
after time again. And it is so gratifying because I don't always hear those stories. People don't always write. They don't always
Right.
write. You don't always see you. They don't always send you pictures, and you think, oh my God, is it working? And what I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the people that get the book, Leaving Large: The Stories of a Food Addict,
Mhm.
that get it, and they're able to navigate their own food stories, right? Because people will
Yeah.
say to me, "Oh, I read this story. I read The Pastor Needs a Plate," or I read
Hmm.
about Big Boned and Blue, and
Okay.
that was me. That was me. Your story
Yeah.
resonated with me, or I see my own self in your stories, or I read this particular story and it reminded me of a time when.
Okay.
And so to have that happen time and time again, where I know that the stories connect with people and
Yeah.
it can get them on a path, it can get them started, and it can do the one thing that I want people to do, which is just get conscious, is to
Yes.
just get aware. My platform is built around what I call ACE, and
Okay.
it is awareness, which is consciousness.
Hmm.
About why you're eating, what you're eating, what is it, what's going on, right?
Right.
Community, because we need the support of other people in this journey. And
Absolutely.
addiction will tell us that you should be able to do it by yourself, right? I should be able to do this by
Hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
Shame will say, "Oh my God, I have tried so many times. I don't want anybody else to know that I'm trying again, and I might fail." Right? But
Mm-hmm.
we need community. Our brains need to connect with other people that are on the same path that we're on. That's an all boats rise kind of thing. We support one another. We learn from one another. We pull one another along. We
Yes.
push one another along, and we celebrate one another because we celebrate the little victories, right? We celebrate the non-scale wins. We celebrate the mindset shifts because sometimes we don't know how to celebrate ourselves. That's why we
So
need
true.
community. That's why we need community. So somebody goes, "Oh, girl, look at you! You know, clap it
Yeah.
up," and you can feel that,
Right.
and that keeps you going because in your mind you'll be
Absolutely.
saying that's not enough. In your mind you'll be
Right.
saying, "Oh, I messed up." In your
Right.
mind you won't see your own victory. You won't see your own growth because it's just like when you're gaining weight. You don't see it. You don't see it when you're gaining weight because it doesn't happen a pound at a time. It happens
Right.
ounces at a time. It happens
Right.
ounces at a time, and we lose it
Oh,
the
that's
same way.
good.
We lose it the same way and we don't see it. So we need people, we
Mm-hmm.
need a reflection. We need people on the outside saying, "Oh, look at you," right?
Right. Right.
Look at you. I mean, look, you're sounding different. You're sounding different. You're
Yes.
speaking more positively, right? All your thoughts are different. You need somebody to kind of acknowledge that and reflect it because we can't
Absolutely.
always do it ourselves. And then the last thing I've told you, awareness, community, and the last is education. We need ongoing
Okay.
education every
Yes.
day because we eat every day.
Right.
we eat, we
We
eat
better if we want to live, right?
if we want to live. If we want to live, we eat
Yes.
every day, and not only that, this toxic food culture is
Yes.
pouring
Oh.
different stuff at us every day. Like the
Mm-hmm.
signs are flashing every day, hot and ready. Come
Oh
hungry,
Lord.
right? Right? They're flashing every day, and because they're
Every
flashing
day.
every day, we need to be armored up every day to
That's so
protect
true.
ourselves from it.
I love that. That is awesome. Wow. So, what are some of the common challenges women face when it comes to their relationship with food?
Well, the word relationship is the first challenge.
Okay.
The word relationship, and here's what I mean by that is that we can't have a relationship with food.
Hmm.
Food is inanimate. Food
Ooh.
can't have a food can't have a relationship with us. Food can't do
Where is my
anything.
mic? Where's my mic at? Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Let me get my mic. That's a drop the mic. Ooh, say it again and again. Okay,
Yes,
look, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just
that's all right. We can't have a relationship with food. Food can't have a relationship with us. The only thing food can do is sit on a plate. That's
wow.
all it can do. It is inanimate. Food has no power. Food has no voice. Food has no agency. We have all of that. What we want, what we need is food management skill,
I love that.
food
Yes.
management mastery. And as
Okay.
soon as we change the language, right?
Yeah.
As soon as we change the language to what are some of the common challenges women face when it comes to managing food? What are some of the
Mhm.
common challenges women face when it comes to developing their food management skill, developing food mastery?
Mm,
The power shifts.
right.
When you're talking about food management, food skill, when you're talking about mastery, the very question, those very words take you to a place of power. That
Yes.
the question, whenever somebody talks about my relationship with food, they're always talking about it from a place of disempowerment, from some
Mm,
place where they're out of control, where there's from
yes.
some place where they're eating because they're angry or they're grieving or because they're sad or because they're frustrated because they're angry for some reason other than hunger. Oh my relation, I'm such an emotional eater, I'm irrational. That is that very language,
Mm-hmm.
that very kind of thinking keeps people stuck. So
True.
the very first thing we can do is just realize we can't have a relationship with food.
Yes.
And as long as we think we can have a relationship with food, that's how the addictive cycle, what's one way the addictive cycle gets started, because we keep trying to make food do something it can't do to
Okay.
just
Okay.
have a relationship with us.
Come on now. Come on, Michelle. Wait, wait. You are dropping you are dropping those gems. Remember those boulders I said earlier? Woo! This is we're at transparent talks, right? So being totally transparent, I had started to see a pattern where if something stressed me out or if I was faced with a challenge or I felt like I was procrastinating or something, I would always lean to food to just try to calm me down. Or if I got frustrated, oh, what's the first thing? I just grab whatever and just start eating. So this is life. You are speaking life. When I had that what do they say, come to Jesus moments, and I'm not saying that lightly because I had to go to him and say, Lord,
Hmm.
you got to help me, because I knew there was just something wasn't right. There
Hmm.
wasn't my perspective about food. It was off.
Hmm.
So I so appreciate you sharing this because it's really, like I said, this is life. You are speaking
Hmm.
life.
It's life. It is life.
Yes.
And so,
Yeah.
Jack, and what you're really talking about is part part of what I do in the coaching, right? Is
Hmm.
that is address what you just said. Is that we are conditioned to go to food for everything. We're
Yes.
conditioned to go to food for everything when it only solves one thing. So one
Right.
of the ways to break that conditioning is when the other things happen, we have to
Mhm.
have the tools to deal with the other things. The first thing we have to do is recognize that just because something shows up in your stomach doesn't mean it's hunger. That every
Say
twinge
that again. Can you say that again?
every twinge that shows up in your stomach is not hunger. And
Come on now.
there is a difference between hunger and the desire to eat. They are two different things. But
Yes.
we don't always know how to recognize that. So the
Right.
very first thing is to learn how to differentiate those things and
Hmm.
know what you're
Hmm.
really dealing with. So if you
Hmm.
are really dealing with hunger, then eat something nourishing. Then eat a meal.
Right.
Then eat some
Right.
protein and a couple of vegetables. Eat some protein, a vegetable, and a starch, and get full. Get full,
Right.
right?
Oh, can I give a testimony? And
Please.
if our son is watching, he and his beautiful wife had taken me out to dinner last weekend. Matter of fact, last Saturday, and it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. So I went there. I was so proud of myself. I filled up my plate with green veggies. Had a little protein, just enough, it wasn't overkill. And I was satisfied, Michelle. That's why I know that my perspective is changing about food. Because before I would grab all those carbs, whoo, I would go to town on the carbs, but I ate vegetables. And then when I got done, got a few fruit. And so I'm really they're showing me that, again, my perspective on food, it wasn't where it needed to be.
Hmm.
And so I just pray that the journey continues. But I just had to get that in. I knew you
No,
would be
it
proud of me.
will. It will continue. You're on the right road. You're on the right track, and it's baby steps. And for
Yes.
and for all of us, we are unlearning these old thoughts, these old beliefs, these old habits in a climate that wants us to hang on to them. So we just have to be really clear that we are swimming upstream.
Right.
That is, as much as we're trying to break these habits, all the fast food companies, all the snack food companies,
Right.
all the junk food companies are 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 working harder to deepen the desire for this stuff that will ultimately not serve us. And so we have
Absolutely.
to we have to all we have to always be vigilant. We have to always be vigilant. And it's, and it's learned. I mean,
Yes.
it's day by day, it's step by step, and it's really getting in tune, um, getting in tune with with your thinking, right? Getting in
Yes.
tune with your thinking so you can get in tune with your body, and just being mindful. Am I really hungry?
Yeah.
Or is something else going on, right? if this
True.
if this if this food, right, will not serve my health, right, in the way that I want it served, if it will not serve my
Mhm.
body in the way that I want it served, why am I eating it? Why
Yes.
this particular food? And quite frankly, is this really food, right?
Yes.
it,
Yes.
is it
That's
really food?
awesome. That is so true. So let's segue into the next question. How do social norms and cultural influences contribute to shaping individual food stories? And I believe you've already answered that, but you may want to add to that.
Okay, so stories. That's what I do. I tell stories. So I'll tell you this story. Um, I grew up in a small farming and agricultural town in East
Mm-hmm.
Texas, and my grandparents sent me off to college in the 80s. And when they sent me off to college, I ended up graduating college and going to work for an advertising agency in Dallas, Texas, in the Southwest in the 80s. And at that time, a lot of the advertising people from New York were moving to the Southwest because the Southwest was the Mecca. And a lot of the advertising people that were moving from New York were Jewish. And I
Okay.
went to work for an advertising agency, and the head of the department that I was in was Jewish. And
Okay.
people were, because um, the vendors were trying to woo my boss. They were always bringing in
Right.
food. And I was, I'm sitting right here. Her door is right there. The table where
Uh-huh.
they bring all the food is right there, right?
Oh,
And so
wow.
they're bringing all the stuff in all the time. And then one
Mm-hmm.
day, somebody brought in a big platter of the biggest donuts I'd ever seen in my life,
Oh,
right?
Lord.
And so
That
they
is
walk
not
in
right.
with this big platter, and I say just that. Oh my God, I have never seen donuts that big. And they all look at me like I am crazy. Girl, those are donuts. Those are bagels. I am from the country South. I don't know what a bagel is. I've never seen anyone, and I barely know anybody Jewish. So I know. So so
Oh,
so
my
so
goodness.
so they bring the bagels, and I'm like looking like they look like donuts to me, right?
Right. Right.
And so one woman pulls me aside. She said, "Oh, no, this is a part of our culture, and you get the bread and you do this to it, and then you boil it, and then you bake it, and then you serve it with the lots." Oh, what is lots? Oh, salmon. Oh, but it's not in the can. I don't wait, right?
Right. Right. Right.
So anyway, and you put the cream cheese on it, and they go to this, this
Mm-hmm.
whole elaborate explanation. Got it. Tried it, liked it, right? And
Right.
so I didn't make this conscious decision, but this is what happened inside of me.
Okay.
Bagels, lox, and cream cheese. That's what the big time advertising people from New York eat. Therefore,
Right.
that's what I'm going to eat because that's what I want to be. Right? They eat this,
Oh, wow.
and it's sitting right next to me. I guess the more of it that I eat,
Right.
the better I'll be at this job. So
Uh-uh.
but anyway, here's the thing. So once I discovered bagels, lox, and cream cheese, I did what every good granddaughter does. I packed it up and I took it home to my grandparents to share the good news with them. Y'all look what the advertising people in New York eat. This is you're gonna love this. And so my grandparents, it was my grandmother. She was like, "Okay, baby, what you got?" Right? She's all excited.
Yeah.
I got like, and so I'm taking it out, and she said, "Well, baby, it looks like bread."
Yeah.
I'm like, so I said
Oh.
yes. I said yes, it is bread, but it's bagels. It's bagels. And she said,
Right.
okay, all right. And you put the you put the cream cheese on it. And she said, but it's bread, right? And I'm like, yeah, it's bread, but it's bagels. I said, but then,
Leave it to grandma.
and then you put the locks on it. I mean, that's just what they call it. That's just what they call it. They
Yes.
call it locks because they're from New York and they're Jewish, but it's really salmon.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna put
Okay.
okay, it's but it's bread, baby. I know, but it's the salmon. It's good, right? And so I give it to my grandmother, right? I've made it all up for her. And let me just share this with you. My grandmother wore dentures.
Uh-oh.
So,
Okay.
so she bites into this bagel and she's having a hard time. She's having a
Yeah.
hard time chewing it and she wants to like it. She wants to like it
Right.
because I brought it, right? I brought it
Yeah.
and she is
Yeah.
trying. I see and I'm all excited because I want her to be excited like I'm excited because it's bagels, right? And she is
Right.
chewing and struggling and she's like, baby, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this because the bread is kind of hard.
Yeah.
The bread is kind of hard, and so but I'm like, but it's bagels, it's bagels, and she said, I
Right.
know.
Right.
I'm like, she's like, I know, but you don't need to bring me any more of that. You know?
Grandma gonna tell you.
but
She
but
gonna tell you.
but my whole point in telling you this story is that it's just bagels. Is I mean
Okay.
it is, but the meaning, it didn't mean anything to my grandmother. It meant this is just some hard bread I'm trying to chew and my dentures are slipping and I don't want any more.
Right.
I don't, you don't ever, I don't ever need to, you don't ever need to bring me another one of those.
Right. Right.
That's what a bagel means to my grandmother.
Hmm.
You take that same bagel and you give it to someone Jewish, and it creates a whole different feeling in their being
Right.
because of what it means to them in their culture. It is the same food. The
Right.
only difference is what they believe about the food. That is the
Yes.
only difference. And that quite frankly is something that we can change. I'm not
That's
Jewish.
good.
I'm not Jewish, but I will eat a bagel and cream cheese from time to time. Not that often,
Right.
but back in the old days, like for 40 years, I was
Yeah.
eating. I was eating like I was Jewish.
Yeah.
Right? You couldn't tell me that I wasn't. At least
Right.
not by the way I was consuming those bagels, right? Um,
Oh wow.
it is what we believe about the food. It's like you take someone from India. In India, cows are sacred.
Hmm.
Cows are sacred in India. You can take somebody from India, you can take them to the best steakhouse in Texas. You can put filet mignon in front of them. You can put a T-bone in front of them. You can put prime rib in front of them. You can throw them down and put it on their chest. They're not going to eat it, not because of
Right.
their religion, but because of their belief system.
Belief system. Yeah,
They,
that's
you
good.
can't do anything to that steak that is going to tempt them. You can't sabotage somebody's belief system. So
Wow.
that you can't sabotage somebody's belief system. So when we fundamentally get to the point where we understand, believe, and know that food is just fuel,
Right.
that it is just fuel. It is not anything else.
Right. I
And
love it.
I'm not saying that we can't enjoy it. I'm not
Right.
saying that it can't taste good. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying that's not the first reason that we choose it. The,
Right.
the first reason we choose it is for fuel, nutrition, and energy. And the first reason
Hmm.
and the first way we make that determination is it safe?
Right.
I mean, how many times do we sit down before we put something in our mouth and say, is this really safe to eat?
That's true. That's
Or do we
good.
just assume that because we bought it in the store or we got it at a
Right.
restaurant that it's safe? Well, I'm here to tell you that's not the truth.
Right.
We have to assume that everything that we believe about food is a lie. Let's just start there. Let's just
Yeah.
start with everything we believe about food is a lie and then start building the truth on top of that.
Wow. So I think you just answered. the next one. How can individuals strike a balance between enjoying their food and making nutritious choices?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just like when I shared earlier how I went to it was a Chinese buffet. Before I would just again I would just load my plate up with carbs and all that. But now I have a different mindset about the intake, my carb intake and all that. Not saying that I don't eat any at all because there's times when I need to go to the store to get something else and I might but I'm conscious now of how much I consume.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can see the difference between, like you said, eating to gain fuel and eating for enjoyment. And sometimes we don't even want it just because it's there. And I'm learning now that just because I see something, I don't have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Mm-hmm.
have to have it. And I'm not saying that there's not times when I see something and that I know I used to eat a lot of that I don't get tempted, but now I have a different perspective on it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I can say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't give into the like you mentioned earlier behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you pretty much answered that question. So let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
So could you provide some practical tips for someone looking to reshape their food narratives for better health?
Yeah, sure. Um, the first thing I would say is actually what I said at the very beginning of the show, is to eat before you eat. Before everything, before everything you put in your mouth, just evaluate. Evaluate it. Is it really food? Right? Is this the best thing that I can eat right now? Am I hungry right now? Ask.
Right.
Ask some questions. What am I feeling? Right? Is this the best option for me? Right?
Right.
Why this particular food now? And to think about it. Once I eat this, how am I going to feel afterwards? How the first thing people have to do is make this determination. How do you want to show up in this world? How do you want to feel? How do
True.
you want to look? And once you identify that, then eat for that picture. The problem is
Mhm.
this, is that we have been in ill health for so long, we don't
Yeah.
even know what looking good and feeling good
Mm,
really looks and feels like, because we
sad
have
but true.
accepted because we have accepted ill health for so long. We don't
Mhm.
even we don't even feel like we deserve it.
Mhm.
We don't feel like we deserve it. That's for other people. That's for them. That's for those health nuts.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we have to get it. First thing we have to do is get ourselves to a position where we can claim health and vitality, where we can claim fitness, where we can really claim the legacy of how we're supposed to look and live and feel. Because
Absolutely.
the reality is this: we cannot do our best. We cannot give our best to the world. We cannot live our purpose and our passion if we are feeling our worst.
Absolutely. I
Can't
say it
do it.
all the time.
Can't do it.
Yes.
Can't do
Yes.
it. And
Wow.
we get hoodwinked. We get hoodwinked into thinking that just because I can look in the mirror, put on some makeup, and smile, that
Mhm.
I'm okay. No, not true. There's more to it
So
than that.
true.
There's more to it than
Absolutely. Well, we have one last question.
that. Okay.
So, from your perspective, what do you see as emerging trends and shifts in the way people perceive and interact with food? And I'm going to give you the floor. And then any final comments that you want to share with us,
Yeah.
please feel free to do so.
So, I I can tell you what I want the perspective. to be. I I want people to realize that this is the defining moment for people to take their lives back, to take control of their health back. Because if we do not, there is going to come a time when the people that are in good health are going to rule the people that are in poor health. And for somebody that didn't hear me say that, didn't hear that correctly, I want to say it again. There will come a time, if we're not careful, and we may already be in that time, that the people in good health are going to have dominion over the people in poor health. And we have got to get conscious. We have got to get conscious and pay attention, because as soon as we start to pay attention, as soon as we start to get conscious, then we can make different decisions. The notion, the idea, the power is getting to the place where you can make a decision that's rooted in nutrition and nourishment, and one that's not rooted in addiction. And the time is now. But I do want to say that I realize that it's hard, right? It's hard. Let me just put it out there. It's hard because we live in a toxic food environment. We have a toxic food culture that doesn't want you to be healthy. And it's really not your fault, because you're programmed. We are programmed. We've all been programmed since before birth to eat in a way that serves profit and convenience and not good health. We're programmed by messaging. We're programmed by advertising. We're programmed in everything in this society that makes food at the center of it. But we can take little steps. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. We can take little baby steps every day to get our power back, to get our confidence back, to get our freedom back. Because the reality is this: as long as we are slaves to food, as long as we're slaves to our appetite, we will never be free. We won't be. But we can take baby steps every day to get our power back, to get our pride back, to get our confidence, to get our joy, to really lean into the fact that joy is in our connection with other people. Our joy is in our relationships. Our joy is not in food. We can enjoy food, it can taste good, but the reality is that when we move food out of the way and we start leaning into our emotions, when we start leaning on each other for emotional support rather than looking for food to do something that we can never do, then we all get better. Then we all get more connected. Then we all can thrive. Then we all can do what we're meant to do, which is be in communion with one another. The food the food is just a backdrop. Food is just a tool. Food is a means to an end. And we have to fight vigilantly every day to keep it in its proper perspective and understand that it is a tool. It is for us to use. It is for us to utilize so that we can live our passion, so that we can live our purpose. And for anybody that is struggling with this, that wants more support around this, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me at michellepettis.com. That's my email address. I have a I have a TED Talk coming up on this very issue that's coming out on food confusion. I would love for you to download my TED Talk and reach out to me, Michelle at michellepettis.com. I will send you the link and get you on my mailing list when the TED Talk comes out. If you're looking for more support, right? I have a coaching program, I have a writing program, a community where it is safe, a community where it is safe for you to start tackling your food stories, start reclaiming your life, getting your life back. We're all moving in this direction together. I've been there. I've, I've been there, and I am here to support anybody who is ready to change their mind, change their belief system, change change that, change their mind so they can change their body and ultimately change their lives.
Wow. Thank you so much. That is so powerful. So I put your Calendly link. Is that correct?
Oh, I actually have another link. I don't have the Calendly anymore.
Oh, I thought I was
Oh,
doing something.
oh,
But
I'm
they
sorry.
can just go to your website, correct?
Yes, they can just go to
Yeah.
Michelle at michellepettis.com, or they can go to leavinglarge.com and download a free chapter of my book.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that the very first food story in the book where it all began. Just go to leavinglarge.com and you can get a free chapter.
Okay. We're going to leavinglarge.com, correct?
Hmm.
All right. So there it is, leavinglarge.com.
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Michelle, you are so amazing. Thank you so much for the vital information that you share, just a candid conversation. That's why we wanted to have you on Transparent Talk, because we knew that you would bring stuff we really need to hear, what we need to consider.
Thank you so much for
So,
having me. It's just been a delight.
absolutely.
It's been a delight.
So, can we reach you here on all
Yes.
social media?
Hmm. Hmm.
All right.
Follow
Tell
me.
us
I am
again
Brandon.
what you have coming up.
Oh, so my TED Talk is coming up on February the 27th in Wilmington, Delaware. So if you email me, I would love to send you the link when the talk goes live so that you can download it. I If you email me, I have my weekend heal reading, writing, and story healing through reading, writing, and storytelling workshops that I do twice a month. So they'll be coming up in
Okay.
April. Would love to support anybody that would like to be a part of the workshops. And then I forgot about this. Oh my goodness, I have a free I do a free Zoom call every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern time in my Facebook group for people that are just looking for a community of support around emotional overeating. So
So is
jump in.
that I am brand new?
I am brand new now on Facebook. You go to I am brand
Okay.
new now on Facebook. That'll take you to my
Okay.
Facebook group. I'll let you in the group
Awesome.
and then give you the link to the Zoom call on Mondays.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We're going to put you in the green room. We'll be right there. And we so appreciate all that you do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, there you have it. This has been Happy Fit Friday, Transparent Talks. So, you know what we say. You know what we say. Fitness implemented. Ooh, I'm getting all tongue tied. Fitness implemented today. What have you done today to optimize your health? So, hopefully, there was something said that will just inspire you to move forward in your health, wellness, and fitness. And like me, I'm on a healthy eating journey and marrying the activity in with, we say activity versus exercise, in with the healthy eating. If I can do it, you can do it. So let's get healthy together, and let's have the right perspective on food. What's the saying? You don't want to live to eat, but you want to eat to live. So hopefully, again, you got some nuggets on today that will encourage you to optimize your health. So that's it. That's all we have. We appreciate you. So remember, you can do that thing that God has specifically designed you to do. You can do it. You can do what He's created you to do. And always remember to live on purpose. Hopefully, your divine purpose and destiny, and also to eat on purpose. Yes. So know that God loves you. Say yes to Him today. Open your heart. If you are struggling with eating, you have the wrong narratives about food, you have tools that this awesome influencer has given us to use, and you may want to connect with her to help you on that journey to healthy eating. So please reach out. All right, so blessings to you. And if God says the same, we'll be back on next Friday. This is Jacqueline Deneen, your partner on purpose, signing out. And we will talk with you soon.